Hello, this is Zinde from the Golden Land, located at angelfire.com/game/link40. I'm here to talk to you about two specific Zelda games that Nintendo's developed and brought out. The first one, Phantom Hourglass, and the second one, Spirit Tracks. Now, don't get me wrong, before I start bashing these, because you know I'm going to, I just want to say that, overall, yes, I did enjoy going through them. I mean, new Zelda games are new Zelda games, hands down. You know, I do get excited no matter what the case may be. Was I disappointed with them? Overall, more with Spirit Tracks than I was with Phantom Hourglass, but, I mean, I'll get to that. The reason why I don't like these that much in comparison to other Zelda games is because for some reason, Nintendo feels like that they have to innovate all new Zelda games. When Minish Cap came out, Capcom had developed that game, and I thought that game was fantastic. I mean, besides the fact of having to explore the overworld before going through a dungeon, which was covered in a previous video, but the overall dungeon design, the overall playability, it worked. The game just worked. It was so much fun to play. You had Kinstone fusions, you had Piece of Hearts. There was so much to do in that game. And the overall, I mean, for crying out loud, I mean, I'm listening right now to the Minish Cap song. So it's, I mean, I love Minish Cap. I thought it was very well done. So kudos to Capcom for developing that game. But I don't know why Nintendo feels like for the DS Zelda games, they have to make them touchscreen. This calls for complete, inaccurate, imprecision, attacks, and damage that I should not be taking, etc., etc., etc. What I hate is, especially in Spirit Tracks, in this game, there is a boss at the end of the game, if you haven't beaten it, so this is a spoiler alert, once again, if you don't want it to be ruined, don't listen to this part. But there is a boss in the game, his name is Malladus. He takes on a pig form, so he looks a lot like Ganon. But during the first part of the fight, you have to protect Zelda while she summons some type of mystical power from a past ancestor. While she does this, it's like a 5-minute process in which you need to protect her, where Malladus shoots energy balls at you in a certain specific pattern. Now, the pattern is the exact same every single time you do it. But there are so many times where you'll make a slash, or you'll spin, or whatever, and Link will roll, Link will jump attack, and you'll miss it, he'll hit Zelda, and anytime she takes any amount of damage, the 5-minute process starts completely over from the absolute beginning, and that is just dumb. That annoyed the crap out of me. I just could not stand. I almost threw my DS because of the fact that I hated fighting that end boss. I beat that game once, and I probably will never beat it again, just because of the fact that I hated fighting Malladus. You know, another thing that I wanted to complain about was the dungeon design. What is that? Seriously, in Phantom Hourglass, the dungeon design was terrible. I mean, in Spirit Tracks, they were terrible too. It was just a little harder. They threw in a little bit more monsters just to deal with more damage. But the fact that you could see over walls, and the fact that you could see what was in the next room, the fact that you could just prepare for everything took the element of surprise out, took the element of actually adventuring through a dungeon. And with Spirit Tracks, where you couldn't even adventure through the overworld in the first place, and now you can't even, really have fun with dungeons, it overall turns out to be just a terrible game. I don't know what Nintendo is thinking when it comes to these. I mean, they could have turned out much better. Why can't we just not use the D-pad and buttons? Why do we have to be stuck with the touchscreen? I don't get it. I'm sick of trying to slash at a monster with the stylus, and then Link goes and rolls, or Link goes and jump attacks, and instead of instead of actually landing a jump attack, he'll get smacked by an Octorok, and I'll take a half a heart of damage. I'm like, this is retarded. Like, there's no reason why that I'm taking this damage. If I could just hit a button, this would have been just much better, and I probably would have enjoyed the game significantly more. The last final thing I want to talk to you about these games were their ongoing dungeons. In Phantom Hourglass, you had to go through a dungeon called the Temple of the Ocean King. Basically, the Phantom Hourglass is an item, as you can see on the cover. It's an item that you collect in the game, that you collect sands of time for, and when you enter this Temple of the Ocean King, the more sand you have, the longer you have to survive in it, because Link takes damage the longer he's in it. Basically, when you defeat each dungeon, you get more sands. You can explore and get more sands in random chests around the world, and eventually get your way back and explore through more. But every single time you get more sand, you have to go back to the temple, go through everything you've done again, and then go through like the 2 or the 3 more floors that they've added. Defeat another dungeon, go through all the new stuff that you just went through again, and all the old stuff that you've previously gone through to only discover 3 or 4 more floors. You defeat the 3rd dungeon, you go back again, and it just gets repetitive very, very quickly. So, in Spirit Tracks, Nintendo decided that they wanted to do kind of the same idea, but without the concept of re-exploring through the dungeon. So they created the Spirit Tower, where you'd go through a specific part of the tower, you'd go defeat a dungeon, and when you'd come back, you wouldn't have to go through the same part. Instead, there was a spiral staircase that bypassed your floors that you've already went through. But because you didn't have to go through it and you didn't have a time limit, it was significantly harder. Significantly. Because of the fact that you were controlling everything with a stylus, that was one part that was tough. But the second part is that Zelda, once again, another spoiler alert, Zelda's soul gets ripped from her body and she turns into a phantom, which is also displayed on the cover, right here. So, of course, controlling her isn't easy. You have to click on her, draw a line, and basically click on whatever you want her to do. Now, to top it all off, there's like 4 or 5 different types of phantoms. There's like a phantom that has light. There's a phantom that can roll into a ball. There's I forget. I went through the game once, so whatever. But each phantom has a different ability. And when you get up to a floor where there's no light at all, you need to get her to collect the body of a phantom so that she can produce light for Link, get the save spots, light torches, then go back downstairs, get a ball phantom, come back upstairs, wander around in the dark, go through the ball mode to hit another switch somewhere on the other side so she can ramp off of something stupid, and then when you get to the other side, she then needs to go upstairs by herself, get a different type of phantom that can probably like go through walls or teleport or something like that, and then to teleport to another point in which then Link can then teleport, and I mean, that's just an example. I mean, there is something like that on like the final floor. I mean, it's not to that extent where I don't think Zelda can travel by herself. I think Link has to be with her every time. But I mean, it's just tough. It's almost to the point of ridiculousness. Like, I almost could not figure it out with a guidebook. Like, and I usually like figuring out dungeons without guidebooks, but seriously, the spirit of the Tower Spirit, or Spirit of Towers, or whatever, or Tower of Spirits, whatever it is called, I hate it. Hands down, hate it. I could not stand it. It was so boring to me. I hated it. So, that's my thoughts on the DS games. Nintendo, seriously, when you make a handheld game, give me my buttons. If you want to do touchscreen, that's fine. Just give me the option of also giving me buttons. Because quite frankly, if you were to take a survey, I guarantee 9 out of 10 people would want buttons. So, I think that would be it for about now. So if you want to comment, go ahead, leave a comment on the page here, and or send me an email at link_zelda40@hotmail.com. All right, I will talk to you later. Bye.